Good morning. My name is Christine Odell, and here at Freedom this week, our series of devotional videos is on the topic of faith. I love that topic. I think we all, as believers, need to love that topic because we've all been called to walk in faith. But I think, sometimes that can be really confusing about what that means. And so I want to just kind of unpack a couple of different words in the scriptures that's used for the word faith. If you've grown up in church, you know that Hebrews 11 is known as the faith chapter, right? It is an incredible list of people who did just impossible things for God, and God commends them for their faith. It also contains one of my very favorite scriptures in the Bible, which is Hebrews 11:6. And without faith, it is impossible to please him. For whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him. So I'm wondering if you've ever found yourself, as you're reading through Hebrews 11, like thinking, oh, I could never do anything like that. If I were called into something like that, would I have the faith to see it through? Listen, you're probably not alone in that. There's probably several of us that have, had a little bit of a crisis moment within ourselves thinking, man, would I be able to do something like that? But let me tell you this, the Greek word for faith used in this verse doesn't pertain to our responsive, faith-filled heart toward God. Not in the verse that I just read, Hebrews 11:6. It refers to the faith that he, God the Father, plants within us. The definition of this Greek word that's used for faith here is divine persuasion. It comes from God, and it is him that persuades the faith within us to do the things that he's called us to do. It's the faith that God gives us as we look to him as our source. Now, I don't know about you, but I find that encouraging because here's the thing, God believes in us more than we do. He's a good father like that, right? He is not sitting down up there thinking, well, no, they're going to fail. They're going to fail. No, he knows what he has deposited within us, and he knows who he is. And he knows that if we'll just take hold of the truth of all of that we can walk with him and we can do anything he's called us to do. So looking again at Hebrews 11:6, we see that without this divine persuasion, it's impossible to please God. And that word for please means to render something acceptable. It's God that makes me pleasing and acceptable before him. Did you know that? Did you know that if you have believed in Jesus, that God is pleased with you? That's one of my declarations that sometimes when I get in my mind that maybe that God is not listening to my prayer. Well, one of my declarations this year is that I am pleasing to God. And because of that, his ear is attuned to me, and that he hears me anytime I come before him to ask and seek an answer. And I say that every day. I say my declarations every day, and I have about 24 of them now, and I'm really enjoying the whole process. But just to know that God is pleased with us because of the work that he has done and allowed us to enter into, he's pleased with us. And because of that, we have full access to him, is key in knowing how to walk in faith with him. So having said that, does it mean that I don't have any responsibility in my faith response toward God? No, it doesn't mean that at all, because we need to keep reading the second half of that verse. It says this, for whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him, right? Well, Jesus pretty much said the same thing in John 6:28-29. It says, then they inquired, what must we do to perform the works of God? And Jesus replied, the work of God is this, to believe in the one he has sent. Now, that word used for believe there can be interchangeable with another word used for faith, except this is not divine persuasion. This is the kind of faith that we usually think of when we talk about needing faith to walk something out. It's to persuade oneself, to trust in, or to place confidence in. So it's my response to how God has responded to me. It's my response back to God. Here's the thing about faith. If you want to grow your faith, then cultivate the relationship with the faith giver, right? Because everything about the kingdom is about relationships. So yes, God has given me a measure of something, but then in turn, I respond rightly toward him in faith, in belief. I believe on the one he sent. Well, who is the one he sent? It's Jesus. I believe on Jesus. I believe in Jesus. I believe. And when I believe, he rewards me. What does he reward me with? He rewards me with more faith, a measure of faith to do that which he's called me to do, and to walk with him in the manner that's pleasing to him. So here's the beautiful thing that Jesus taught his disciples about faith. If you have faith like a grain of mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. That's Matthew 17:20. So guess what word is used there for faith? It's divine persuasion. If you have the grain of mustard seed of faith that God plants in the soil of our hearts, then you already can say to that mountain, be moved, and it will be done for you. That's encouraging, right? Jesus used this idea of a mustard seed once more when he said, the kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed that a man planted in his field. Although it is the smallest of all seeds, yet it grows into the largest of garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and nest in its branches. So here's the beautiful thing, that which God implants in us, he wants us, this is what growing in maturity means, what growing in faith means, is that he wants us to cultivate the soil of our heart, that inner place where God has implanted that measure of faith, that mustard seed faith. And like anything in the kingdom, we're to steward it. And as we steward it, and as we cultivate our heart, and we pull up weeds of unbelief, and we pull up, the thorns and the different things that come to harden our heart, we keep the ground tilled up, and so that mustard seed faith can grow, and it just takes over, right? That's what the kingdom does. It just takes over. And as we do that, we grow in maturity, and then we begin to understand that nothing is impossible with God. Nothing. We will find at that point that, that our belief, our mental ascent into belief grows, our ability to trust God in difficult situations will grow, our ability to just know that he has an answer and rest in that, we'll find an increase of that in us. And I think so often when we're talking about that faith walk, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about our response to God, and it will grow if we will understand there's been something very precious within us that's been planted within us, and that it's God himself that persuades us and helps us to cultivate that. Then we will steward it well, and we will find that relationship with the faith giver, that we are growing ourselves in the ability to steward that faith and walk it out. So to quote John and Marilyn Hickey, Jesus thinks you can do anything. And all you need to know is that God is pleased with your mustard seed faith. Have a great day.